You're paying $4.30 for gas and you think something broke recently. Oh, that's adorable. That's genuinely the cutest thing I've ever heard. This has been broken since 1973. And you were just too busy watching Friends reruns and eating Lunchables to notice. But sure, blame the government, blame Elon, blame your neighbor's Prius. Meanwhile, sit your ass down, because I'm about to explain 50 years of catastrophic stupidity in one sitting, and nobody else has the balls to do it. October 17th, 1973. King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, a man who literally grew up in a desert tent with zero electricity, zero running water, and apparently zero patience for American nonsense, watches America airlift $2.2 billion in weapons to Israel during the Yom Kippur War and just snaps. No press conference, no tweet, no strongly worded letter. He just shuts the whole damn thing off. Full embargo. United States, Netherlands, Canada, Japan, UK, all of you, go to hell. Good night. Oil jumps from $3 a barrel to $12. That's a 400% increase, genius. Gas prices spike 40% in a single month. The American Automobile Association records that during 1 week of the crisis, 20% of U.S. gas stations had literally no fuel. Americans, citizens of the richest, most powerful, most militarily dominant nation in human history, are out in parking lots siphoning gasoline from each other's cars at 2 a.m. like raccoons in Walmart with a rubber tube in the dark. This is us. This is who we are. Nixon, Richard, I am not a crook. Nixon creates an odd/even license plate rationing system. Odd plates buy on odd days, even plates on even days. The entire country is standing at gas pumps doing third-grade arithmetic on their own license plates just to put fuel in their Oldsmobiles. And the Commerce Secretary, the guy whose entire job is managing the American economy, goes on national television and says, and I am not making this up, Popeye is running out of cheap spinach. Popeye. Spinach. That's the economic strategy. That's the guy. That's your government. Incredible. Breathtaking. A masterpiece of incompetence so pure, it's almost artistic. Now, here's where it gets genuinely unhinged. Henry Kissinger, Harvard Ph.D., Cold War architect, the most feared diplomat on the entire planet, a man who made world leaders physically nervous, flies his ass to Saudi Arabia to personally pressure King Faisal. Man to man, superpower to oil baron. Faisal makes him sit in a lobby for days. Days, not hours, days. The Secretary of State of the United States of America sitting in a chair, waiting, like he's at the DMV, but with more geopolitical consequences. When they finally meet, Kissinger threatens military action, hints at bombing the oil fields, pulls out every card he has. Faisal looks at him and basically says, bomb us, we'll just go back to living in tents. But if we cut your oil, your people lose their minds over losing their conveniences. Kissinger, the guy who bombed Cambodia for fun, had no answer. Zero. He literally admitted it. You cannot threaten a man who is completely and genuinely fine living in a tent. That's a cheat code. That's the final boss move. Kissinger ran out of game against a dude who didn't need any of the stuff Kissinger was threatening to take away. The embargo lasted 5 months. Saudi oil revenues went from $655 million in 1965 to $26.7 billion by 1975. 40 times the money in 10 years. Europe and Japan immediately threw America under the bus on Middle East policy because oil is thicker than NATO friendships, apparently. The entire post-World War II economic boom, poof, gone overnight. The Financial Times ran the headline, "The future will be subject to delay." America promised energy independence, prices dropped, and everyone forgot. Then, 1979, Iran cuts exports. Oil goes from $15 to $39 a barrel. Same damn chaos, same lines, same presidential speeches, about sacrifice and solar panels. Forgot again. And if you think we did anything actually meaningful between 1979 and today, I genuinely need you to tell me what medication you're on, because I want some. February 28th, 2026. U.S. and Israel bomb Iran. Iran responds by closing the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you're about to Google what that is, it's okay, it's fine, but also, you should be a little embarrassed, and I say that with love. It's a 21-mile wide waterway between Iran and Oman, the only exit from the Persian Gulf, and 20 million barrels of oil, 20% of everything the entire world burns every single day, passes through it. Saudi Arabia ships 37.2% of its oil through there. Iraq 22.8%, UAE 12.9%, Kuwait 10.1%. 5 countries, 93.6% of all Hormuz flows. Iran closes it, and 9.1 million barrels per day get trapped. Storage tanks overflow. Countries that desperately want to sell their oil physically cannot move it. It's like being the greatest bakery on earth and someone welds your door shut from the outside. The bread is rotting, the money is gone, and everyone's starving in the parking lot. Brent crude goes from $75 to $103 in March, $115 by April. U.S. gas hits $4.30. Diesel over $5.80. Jet fuel hits $195 a barrel, up 95% since this whole disaster started. United Airlines cancels flights. Korean Air declares internal emergency mode. You wanted to book a summer vacation? Book a therapist instead. It's cheaper and honestly more useful given the state of everything. The Philippines imports 98% of their oil from the Persian Gulf. Their reserves drop from 57 days to 45 days in 1 month. The government switches to 4-day work weeks to save fuel. Your Friday got canceled by a waterway you'd never heard of before you started watching this. Asia loses 89.2% of its Hormuz oil flows. South Korea tells citizens to use public transport. Australia's Prime Minister goes on TV egging people not to panic buy petrol for Easter weekend. Bangladesh forces businesses to close by 6 p.m. to save electricity. These aren't suggestions. These are governments white-knuckling the edge of the cliff. And it hits your broke ass directly, whether you like it or not. Amazon, FedEx, USPS all slap on fuel surcharges. Your packages cost more. The Strait also carries 30% of globally traded fertilizers. Urea, ammonia, the stuff that actually grows your food. Fertilizer prices explode. Food prices follow. Kenya hiked public transport fares 25% purely from fuel costs. And if you think that stops at Kenya, bless your heart. Saudi Arabia and UAE have bypassed pipelines. 2.6 million barrels per day capacity. We lost 9.1 million. The math is not mathing. There is no rerouting this, no clever workaround, no supply chain hack. It's just gone. And before you come in with the electric car thing, there are 1.4 billion combustion engine vehicles on Earth today. Today, not in some clean, green future, not next decade. Today, right now, this morning. We are not swapping that fleet before summer. We never built the alternative fast enough. And now we're paying for it every single time. We pull up to a pump and feel our soul. Leave our body. What Faisal figured out in 1973 and what Iran just proved again in 2026 is that oil isn't a commodity. It's a weapon. One man in a tent made the most powerful diplomat on earth cool his heels in a lobby for days. One country closing 21 miles of water just simultaneously body slammed the growth forecasts of a dozen nations. And analysts say, even if this ends tomorrow, prices stay elevated through risk premium for most of 2026. Brent crude isn't going below $90 until late in the year. You're living with this through summer, through fall, through Thanksgiving, when you're driving to your aunt's house and quietly doing the math on whether you can afford the round trip. 1973. Lesson taught, lesson ignored. 1979. Lesson taught again, ignored again. 2026. Here we are, genius. Lesson 3. $4.30 a gallon. Same waterway, same dependency, same shock, same blank stare at the pump. The only thing that changed is the price. Subscribe if this finally made something click. Stay hydrated and go, seriously, just go